In this episode, you'll get a breakdown of the quote, "The feminine teaches the masculine how to feel," and why powerful men need to honor both polarities within themselves. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. 3 things you'll discover today. Number 1. Why men disconnected from their feminine side become rigid, cold, and ineffective. Number 2, how the feminine principle, intuition, flow, receptivity, enhances man structure, action, and logic. Number 3, the integration practice, honoring both without becoming unbalanced. All right, let's look at the quote. The feminine teaches the masculine how to feel. So, really, I'm sure, like you can see it everywhere and anywhere. So, let's get right to the point where you have this dance. This dance it's pushing and pulling, and it's hinting at something deeper. There's a reason why it's kind of difficult if you're a man to tap into certain aspects of yourself. And then on the other side, right, you have every single person has a different form, right? And the way that we are all set up, all of our details have a drastic amount of variety so that you can see your journey is fully unique. And I do my best, right? Here, I lay structure, but then I also have to tap into my feminine side to make this communication, this message, my time and energy here worthwhile. I can't, just sit here and and just rah, 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 rah. So there is this balance in life where there's tendencies to go too far. And that's one of the harder things is learning, okay, first of all, am I going the wrong way and do I just need to turn around? Or have I gone too far on one road without me branching and using the forks in the path? So it's this honesty with yourself, which is not always the easiest thing to create, but it starts with, okay, you begin to pay attention to the impact of your perspective, your identity, the way you walk, the thoughts you have, the energy that you carry. And through that observation, you see where you're just a little bit too much in certain areas. But you're not judging yourself here. You're merely observing. This isn't a analysis, a measurement. You don't have to fathom, record everything, run it through Claude, and get a full and personality breakdown. That's not what we're doing. We're doing this letting go while also working and being active. Whereas the feminine gives the space and the masculine sort of uses the space. If you have space and nothing happening, you kind of will lose your grounding, your footing, it's not as if there's a stamp on the world or you need to do anything or force anything. The real masculine is of this power which is almost unknown to much of mankind, where it is the most powerful man is the one who is least likely to get into any form of a physical altercation. Not only because people can see him, but because people can unconsciously feel that the man is a menace if tested. That is only the worst of test. that would pull out the menace. The point is that there has to be this ability to go to the farthest extremes while still keeping your grounding and your footing. That's the point that must be hammered home here. But so let's do a little story, because this is the nature of the ego too. You'll hear that, and your mind will, not necessarily you, but the mind has a tendency to what if? What if this? What if that? What? And you'll the mind is tricky, and it'll lead you to overdo things. So we have to make sure that as you extend your extreme, that your grounding is strong. But the story is really that naturally you will go too far just out of greed, and you'll learn from that which your greed creates. So on and so forth with all other weakness in different language in which we could describe it. So if you have the courage, you go into the forest, but then you come back and you have new information, maybe you update your map, if you will. Then you go back out into the forest further. You repeat that. You repeat that. The forest, what it means really is your lifestyle, your relationship to thought, your ability to, it's not even an ability. It's not something that you possess. It's that letting go while surfing. Like surfing is, you're not commanding the wave, right? You're working in tune with nature. That's the art. That's what I'm trying to hammer home. Is that, okay, if you're a girl, you don't be overly masculine, but you do need to have some strength, some courage, right? Some order. And it's more than order, though, right? It's not just words. We're talking about like some grit, okay. And then if you're a man, you just got to be flexible. Strength, there's no such thing as strength without flexibility. They go hand in hand. So that's good for the quote. Number one, why men disconnected from their feminine side become rigid, cold, and ineffective. Yeah, this is actually organic math. When you cut yourself off from your heart and your gut and your ability to really feel, then you get this. You could still be effective, if you will, in a robotic task. Things that AI will automate in the future. Yeah, you could be and so, but the thing with disconnection is that this isn't a judgment. This is rather a shining the light on the opportunity in which disconnection breeds, because there's a compounding of the spiraling in both directions, where but you can kind of you can play with it, you can alter, you can shape it, you can change it. And when you take the time to be honest and look at yourself, you'll notice what you're wasting, what you're ignoring, what you've been hiding from. And there's a cost to taking that time and energy to be honest with yourself, but there's also a change. They go sequentially together. So this is the nature of the game, where we have to somehow, some way, let the intelligence beyond thought work and guide the vessel. You really do this by holistically learning how to alter the relationship to that which is uncertain. It's not a controlling and a forcing and a manipulating of that which is uncertain. It's oh, that is the rhythm. Dang, it took something in me to be able to see it that way, right? But as you get with it, you just honestly, I've been dragged by it. Inevitably, you're done being dragged by it, right? As that change, that invitation happens in your life, you just say, hey, all right, let's do it. So, really, how much did I touch on the rigidness, the cold, the ineffective? Practically, it's almost hard to be practical about this. But imagine you have a car and it doesn't have a wheel bearing on the back left, and it's missing components on the back left, right? Then you have a tricycle car, which is ineffective. That's the nature of it, really. That's all it is. And you can see this, though, in physical injuries in humans, where, first of all, like a guy, I was talking to a man on the street last week, and he just tells me, oh, the doctors, he didn't know this, the doctors stuck a probe in his calf and were able to tell him something about a pinched nerve in his spine or his back. And right, that's the nature of life, though. It's all look at webs, look at branches, look at the nervous system and all the outline, right? It's interconnecting. So you learn to see, man, this rigidness, this coldness, this ineffectivity, it's born through an ignorance of, and ultimately you change your lifestyle, change how you think, change where you stand, and therefore what you see changes as well. Point number 2, how the feminine principle, intuition, flow, receptivity, enhances masculine power, structure, action, logic. I love this. I love it. So it's, let's look at football. Any football guys, maybe? I don't know. Bend, don't break defense. So what that means to not football people is, I'll look at a tree, for example. When the trees are getting hit by some powerful wind gust, if they were stuck in one spot and they didn't sway and bend and move and creak with the wind, the trees would not be standing. Can guarantee you that. But naturally, you can see the universe has put the truth in front of us in so many forms. It's right in front of us. But at the same time, I don't mean to make it seem easy, because it's not that easy, because we have all this thinking, we have this identity. And this is where the balance comes in, where it's like, all right, if I do too much screen time, I don't feel good. But if I don't work on business, I don't feel good. So, right, if I go on hikes all day, yeah, that's great, but it gets a little too much. So a little bit walk, right? It's just this balance. You learn to see, okay, first of all, practically, what are the things that I love? What are the things that charge me? What makes me alive? Do more of that. Somehow, some way, be consistent as much as you can. I know we have practical things to pay for. And that's why I am just grateful, first of all, but working and working and working. This isn't just about me, but the big point is, it's like this openness, right? You can see I'm changing my tone of voice. Not trying. I'm doing it here. I'm being masculine in certain topics, order, structure, right? But then there's also this receptivity, this flow, this intuition where you're open, and that openness is so vital. But then it's really this structure and action which makes the most of the openness. Yeah? Little poetic. So you do your best. You ultimately do your best. You notice where you're too extreme. You go super extreme in certain areas where you're meant to. You learn the nature of the elastic band effect, right? Pull, 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 but you don't want to snap it. Let it come back gently. It's that ebb and flow, um, right? It strengthens. It's like you need the firm, you need it all to come together. And that's from a inherent sort of balancing and alchemy, really. Feel that word alchemy, and also the idea of abracadabra means that I create as I speak. Those are these kind of shape shifting concepts that kind of directly hit through language itself. And what that does is it strikes you in your heart so that consciousness can understand the meaning of the mere words, right? The impact is between the lines. And that's really, man, sometimes I'm doing my absolute best to articulate this, to hammer it home in a way where it's not like boring, but it's also the repetitivity, the consistency in message is because there's certain things that matter, and they matter a lot, and there's fundamentals to the rhythm. So, point number 3, the integration practice, honoring both without becoming unbalanced. All right, we're at 17, so let's cook through this. But it is a how. How do you neutralize certain elements? Because sometimes that's really what it comes down to, right? We mentioned the alchemy and the abracadabra. Sometimes it's the art of neutralization. And that is not simple, but it's also inherently something you were born to do. Something that you can do naturally. You don't need to be anything different to begin right now. See, the art of this is in realizing, okay, what am I? First of all, inputs and outputs, right? What am I when I do A, B, and C? What am I when I change that? Then next, there is a processing and a skepticism around, all right, so I feel that, and am I signing up for this, right? What are these things that I do that I don't like necessarily need to be doing? And it's hard, but you filter. You start to see the bigger rocks in your life. Okay. You get to this point where you see what's worthwhile. And then you immerse yourself as much as you can naturally. You don't force it, don't over obsess. This is the hard part, is because you have time and you can think in time. But somehow you need to learn that the art of actually creating and building is outside of time. It's always here and now that anything monumental is put into existence. It's always in the moment. So you will think, you will plan, you will create blueprints, but architecture can be an integration of balance. See, that is important. Architecture can be an integration of balance, whereas it's come together, and now the work begins, right? What that means is, honestly, we'll leave you with a cliffhanger. Let's let's just go right to, you don't become more masculine by rejecting the feminine. You become more powerful by integrating it. Feel your emotions, trust your intuition, honor your sensitivity, then use your masculine structure to build something the world has never seen. New episodes are out Monday, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. Share it with a friend. Let's go.